Mic check 1 2 1 2. What up, though? What's good, everybody, man? It is Saturday, Hall of Fame enshrinement day, and I went to Panthers training camp, man, and it was not as eventful, but we have a lot to talk about because a lot of things came out of it. There were a few little fireworks and splashes, but I was finally able to get some content, guys. I was able to record plays. Thank goodness. So I got my old traditional format. I got my three biggest takeaways. I got the play of the day. I'm going to show you that. It was a nice one. And then I got the rapid fire at the end of the video. So make sure you guys watch the whole video. But my name is Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk, recap and analysis of the Panthers. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up because it really helps me out in the algorithm, and any kind of support that you guys want to do, I appreciate that, because today was a great day and I was able to get some good content and actually review my plays, and I got to bring it to you today. So let's go about the three biggest takeaways. I have my notes on my iPad right here. The takeaway number one is the injuries are starting to pile up, and typically I will save the injuries for the rapid fire, but it's just way too much going on injury-wise that we have to talk about. So let's start with the quarterback position, because Andy Dalton is out for, according to Dave Canales, 2 to 3 weeks with a quad injury. Now, the last practice I actually went to, which was Tuesday, Andy, I don't know, he kind of like just went out after like a series or two of 7-on-7, and he didn't come back. We didn't really know, but when he came to do autographs, he was like limping and waddling over there. So clearly he was in some obvious pain. So we didn't know at that time. And then, of course, Jack Plummer, who is QB3 for us, was getting a ton of reps. Nobody knew what happened in practice. Afterwards, we found out it was a quad injury. We got a little bit more clarity today from Dave Canales. He's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. Now, it doesn't matter. 2 to 3 weeks is camp. We don't have to play a game, dunk. Yeah, preseason, but whatever. You need quarterbacks. One, you need camp arms. One, because you need somebody to take some pressure off of Bryce and Jack Plummer. You don't want these guys to strain their shoulders, because we have 4 consecutive practices right now: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You don't want these guys to get way too many reps and then their shoulder gets fatigued, and then that's how you get injuries, because you may start cheating on your form and mechanics, and then you're not going to be as accurate, and you make, like I said, it may cause injury. So they definitely need to bring in at least a camp arm. Now, asking Dave Canales today after practice about it, he said that he was open to a vet or a young guy. Now, I know Twitter has been buzzing and going crazy every time there's any kind of quarterback situation that arises. People want Cam Newton to be the guy that returns here. And I'm here to tell you right now, they're not bringing in Cam, guys. They're not bringing in Cam. Like I said, they need a camp arm. Dalton's only out 2 to 3 weeks. I understand that Cam is not that old. Him and Andy Dalton actually were in the same draft class, believe it or not. But they only need somebody for a couple of weeks. So Cam is just not really an option. I'm sorry. And from that standpoint, I would love Cam to be a part of the team and the franchise in some capacity, but that's just not going to happen. So let me get that out the way. But Dave Canales mentioned that they want to be able to get their backups good looks. So they need maybe somebody that knows what they're doing, that can go from under center, that's experienced in that capacity, because he's right. We have a lot of guys that we need to develop. This is a brand new team, brand new regime. Everybody need to get the chance to play and get a quality looks and reps. And sometimes when you don't have a functioning quarterback, it hinders everybody's progress. It hinders the O-line, because maybe he's not taking the right footwork. Maybe he's not getting depth in his drop. Maybe whatever. If it's a receiver, I think it's obvious. You don't have the chemistry. You don't have the accuracy. Maybe he doesn't know the plays. Running back as well. Maybe he doesn't know the handoffs. It's just, you need a quarterback to be able to function and handle everything. Somebody that's experienced, that's a vet. That way everybody around him can be evaluated. Even though he may not be in the long-term plans for the team because he's just a temporary Band-Aid, you need somebody around that can, like I said, hold the fort and hold it down so we can evaluate everybody else. So we need to pay attention to what they're going to do in that standpoint. But I will say that Jack Plummer actually had a solid practice. He had a deep ball to Jalen Coker that was very, very beautiful. I mean, outside shoulder, put it over to the left, away from the defender. Jalen Coker turned and spun and made it a great adjustment and came down with it. He hit Xavier Legette on the deep one, which was not a great pass, but he was able to roll left and hit him. He hit David Moore on a beautiful play rolling to his left and hit him in stride. I think it was David Moore. Maybe it was David Moore and Michael Stratton. It was hard to see from where I was at. Regardless, nice deep crosser. He made a couple of decent throws, and he was really pushing the ball downfield. Looked pretty solid overall, but this is still a guy that's going to be QB3. He's not going to be your QB2. Whoever they bring in, they'll be behind Jack, but it was at least good to see that he had a pretty solid practice. Let's get to the next position that's a problem. Tight end. Now, tight end is a huge problem. So pretty much your top 3 tight ends. I'm not going to count Jatavian because he's a rookie, so whatever. I know he's probably slotted above, but until we see a depth chart, I'm not going to assume. But vet-wise, Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, and Steven Sullivan are all out. Tommy Tremble's been out for a few weeks with a hamstring injury. Ian Thomas had a calf injury. It happened sometime after the fight last week when Chuba got laid out by Jadeveon Clowney. Ian came in, but then once he came out, he just never went back into practice. I thought he might have heard something else from fighting, but it was just a calf. Don't know how that happened. It is what it is. And Steven Sullivan is on IR. I'm not exactly sure what that injury was, but this is the second year in a row that Steven Sullivan has gone on IR during August. So he'll be out maybe for the season. I think he'll get cut probably, get an injury settlement, and they may try to bring him back later. Who knows how it'll play out, but they have to make room on the roster. He could be one of the first ones to go if they let him go, but he's a guy that I don't know how serious the injury is, but I think if he's healthy, somebody will pick him up just off the strength that he's like 6'5" with receiver-like skills because he had that receiver background in college. So they may not want to take that risk and let him hit the open market, but they're going to need to make space because they need more tight ends. They got to bring in the quarterback. They may need to bring in an edge rusher. And they make some other moves that we'll talk about later in this video, but things are getting very, very thin at that tight end position in terms of just guys that are experienced. So now what's remaining is Felipe Franks, JT Sanders, and Jordan Matthews. Jordan Matthews is two of those guys are converted tight ends. Like Felipe Franks used to be a quarterback. He plays tight end for a couple years. I don't think he's ever gotten real experience. Who knows? I think he was with Arthur Smith. Jordan Matthews, a receiver. I don't know if we've ever seen him play tight end yet. Maybe he has, and maybe I missed it. But I just think that his transition from receiver to tight end, I don't think he's ever gotten a chance to be on the field with it. And then, of course, Jatavian Sanders, he is not experienced. He's a rookie, but it is good news that he'll get a chance to step up. And coach really talked about him getting more opportunity. Now, Jordan Matthews looked like he got the first run of like reps at tight end and some of the pass Skelly and stuff like that, maybe a little bit of team, but they run so many multiple tight end sets and it's only 3 tight ends. Everybody's going to get involved. So I think it was just more all hands on deck. I wouldn't overthink it. People online were overthinking it and going crazy when I tweeted that out, but Jatavian Sanders got involved, had some catches, had a nice one-handed catch. It wasn't good enough for play of the day because there's something better, but he did have a nice one-handed catch. And like I said, having 3 tight ends is not ideal because sometimes we run 12 personnel, 13 personnel, which is one running back, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. And so if all of our tight ends on the field, who's going to be their backup? And so again, like I talked about with quarterback, the more reps you get, more times it's opportunity for injuries. It's just a messy situation when you don't have proper depth. But Tommy will be back within a week. They want to slow play it. So that's good news, but they're still going to have to assign at least 1 to 2 players to play tight end. So pay attention to that. On defense, Shaq Thompson has a hamstring injury. Shaq Thompson, I don't know when he tweeted it, but apparently Canales said they caught it early. They're glad they did. They're going to rehab it back, unrelated to his past leg injury or whatever. But they're just going to nurse that because they need that experience. Behind Shaq, you have Trevin Wallace, or maybe I don't know who else they have as far as experience-wise, but you definitely need Shaq. We saw how down bad we were last year without Shaq, so they have to play this correctly so they don't miss any significant time with Shaq. So better to have him safe than sorry on that front. Last but not least, on the offensive line, we'll talk about this more a little bit later, but Damian Lewis is out with a shoulder injury. I don't know when he hurt it. I don't know what the nature is, but I thought he was just getting vet days because he was out the same days that Taylor Moton was, but it's starting to linger. He was on the side by himself. Dave Canales talked about, didn't really give a timeline. He gave timelines pretty much on everybody else, didn't on Damian. That's scary to me because we know what happened with our interior offensive line last year when those injuries popped up. So I'm nervous, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in my next takeaway because that interior is looking shaky because that is my next takeaway. The offensive line has been looking shaky at times. You know what I'm saying? And it's still early. And today didn't have pads. So a lot of what they do grab, they try to hold and get away with it. So I understand that they're not going to be able to block and do all the same things that they can do in pass pro per se. But I was just a little bit nervous because I talked about it on the live stream. Nobody was mentioning Austin Corbett's struggles at times with the location of his snaps when he's snapping the ball back to Bryson shotgun. Now, it's come up a little bit more recently because I think people are starting to pay attention. Like I said, nobody was talking about it. But sometimes they're low, sometimes they're left, sometimes they're right. When it's off target, it interrupts the rhythm, whether it's the quarterback's drop, whether it's the steps that the running back take when he's about to take a handoff. You need to be able to have the snap down pat. Now, this was a concern for some people, obviously with Corbett not having any experience playing center it's a little bit different. And I myself, I stood on business. I said that the health portion is up in the air. I could see people questioning that, but I thought that ability wise, Corbin would be fine. I'm nervous now, but I'm still holding for it. He's a smart guy. I think he'll figure it out. But the snapping something is just something he's gonna have to get more experience with and get comfortable with. Because I mean, snapping is one thing, but it can get really real when you have guys like Derek Brown lined up across from you at times. So I understand that it's not a natural step to make. So I'm just gonna be patient and give it time. I'm not gonna panic. This may sound similar to last year in training camp where the interior was making some issues, but it's not just Austin. I mean, of course, with Damian Lewis being out, it throws off some chemistry. You have Chandler Zavala in there. Of course, Robert Hunt's in there as well. But there's multiple occasions where there's leakage and free runners. I know the defense seems like they put in a lot more blitzes today where the inside linebackers would come and Jadeveon Clowney would drop out. So it might have thrown them off. Miscommunication from the running backs not picking up those guys in the interior. Multiple times I saw Derek Brown getting unblocked and coming to the quarterback. He's good enough. He don't need no help being unblocked. So that's just something that need to figure out, man. And like I said, I'm not panicking yet because it's still early. Like I said, this year, I'm waiting till at least joint practices against somebody else that we don't know before I start kind of feeling like, all right, or preseason, of course, before I start like, all right, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens there. But the offensive line, man, they're going to have to get it together. Like I said, we spent all that money. There's no way that we have one of the biggest salary cap hits or cash spent, whatever, on the offensive line. And the same issues are popping up because then you have to figure out, okay, what's the issue here? Is it not having a true center? Is it not having Damian Lewis in there because of the injuries? Is it because Taylor Moton has been taking too many vet days and he's not getting enough chemistry with the new guys because Taylor Moton is taking a few vet days in a row? And so I'm just curious about what the issue is and what they're going to do to solve it, because there's no way we spend all those resources on the offensive line and it doesn't work out. That literally has to work out for us this year. Now, the running game, I will say that the running game, running the ball as much as they want to, may help, because I talked about it being like the Dolphins, where you run the ball, move the pocket with play action, and get the ball out quick, so it doesn't really matter. But at some point, they're going to have to hold up on straight drops. Everything can't be play action. As much as you want to protect the offensive line by doing play action and stuff like that, you have to be able to straight drop at times when you have longer distances to go, because that's just the nature of football. You guys let me know down below in the comments if you're feeling a little bit nervous about the interior, about what I'm telling you about some of the inconsistent snaps and stuff like that. The last takeaway is we actually have an update on Jonathan Brooks. Now, he was on the side today at practice running with the weighted sled, basically harness and rope tied to him with a sled with weights on it. And he was pulling it. He was doing marches. He wasn't doing sprints. He was doing marches. So like getting his knees up, you know what I'm saying, and trying to dig into the ground, exaggerating that acceleration motion of running. So I thought he would be close, but they asked him after practice, and Jonathan Brooks will not be playing in the preseason whatsoever. Not be playing in the preseason. I repeat, he won't be playing, unfortunately. They asked him how far along was PUP a potential. He said yes, but PUP is the physically unable to participate list to start the year. I don't know when he would be activated off that, but he said week 3 or week 4 would be ideal and would be best case scenario, but he's not going to push it. They have a plan for him. It's not like he had a setback or anything. It's just they're playing it very, very conservative. And with the depth we have at running back between Chuba, Miles, and Blackshear, they don't have to force him back. And whenever he comes, it'll just be icing on the cake because he's still young. There's a lot more future ahead of him. So don't force him back for no reason. And like I said, I know some people may be upset about us taking an injured running back that's not going to be ready. But remember, and granted, he didn't miss regular season time. I don't remember. But Jonathan Stewart, he had an injury that was nagging him that had him miss, I think it was toe, that had him miss his rookie training camp. And it worked out for him long term. So just be patient, keep the faith. But let me know how you feel down below in the comments about that potential timeline of him week 3 or week 4 of the regular season for Jonathan Brooks. And are you okay with it? Are you pissed off that we drafted him so high, or are you just like, play it safe? There's no need to rush. Let me know how you feel. But the play of the day is Deontay Johnson. I know a lot of people are online crying and complaining about Bryce Young not taking enough deep shots. And I'll say that. They were calling a lot of short, quick passes, but there was some pressure in Bryce's face up the middle, unblocked, but obviously they can't hit him. So he kind of moved a little bit from the pressure and he chucked it up and gave Deontay a shot. Now, to me, it was perfect ball placement, outside shoulder, away from the defender, and it was just Deontay Johnson. He looked like Tony Toe Tap on that play. I slowed it down so he got to make sure he got his feet in bounds. Just a beautiful connection. The last play of practice, phenomenal way to end the practice because everybody online was whining about no deep shots, but they finally gave us that deep shot on that play. Sick catch. I would love for this chemistry to keep building, and this is what Bryson needs to do. You don't have to just wait for whatever. If you have one-on-one, throw it up. Take a shot. Believe in Deontay. Believe your guy is better than the other, or believe that he'll be able to get an interference or something like that. Keep it outside shoulder like that. So like if you miss, it's not a pick, but give them a chance. Let them come up with stuff. I see people online complaining like he should have put it in stride. That should have been a touchdown. Dude, there was 2 free runners in the backfield coming at him. He's not going to get hit. It's practice. You still have to practice how you play. In the game, he wouldn't just sit there and wait for them to, you know what I'm saying? Like, he wouldn't just ignore the rush. He's got to move a little bit and at least put up a front like he feels the pressure, because he did feel the pressure. Pressure isn't always about getting hit. It's about adjusting to what's coming so you can actually get the ball off clean. And so that's what he did there to adjust. I thought it was perfect outside shoulder placement like that. I thought it was a hell of a catch by Deontay, man. You guys let me know how you feel about that throw and catch down below in the comments, because it is the play of the day. All right, let's get through this rapid fire really quick. So word on the street is DJ Johnson has a very, very strong chance to start at edge. DJ Johnson, the older prospect that was drafted out of Oregon last year. Dan Morgan said that this is a guy that people and fans were probably sleeping on. And it seems like by default with the injuries to Wanham, and I didn't see Kayvon Chason there today, that DJ Johnson may get the start. And Clowney talked about him being one of the best edge setters on the team. They talked about that, but I don't think fans care. Fans want guys to get pressure. We got rid of a Pro Bowl edge rusher in Brian Burns. Give us real answers and answers at both sides to figure that out. So I'll give DJ Johnson a chance. I know that pass rush bag ain't that big, but if he's going to be a good guy against the run, we'll see what happens, and somebody else is going to have to step up in terms of pass rush. Many have been questioning about Bryce's leadership and stuff, but the team had like a little walkthrough out there at practice before everything went going, and Dave Canales said they were kind of flat. And he said that Bryce Young and Derek Brown were the ones that really got everybody together and was like, yo, let's tighten up, man. Let's do this stuff, man. Let's get together. Let's not get out here and waste time. Let's have a good practice. And they helped lift the energy up, and he thought that energy was great going on the rest of practice. So there's your leadership that you guys were complaining and questioning about him being a quiet leader and stuff like that, or doing this, that, whatever, want him to be vocal and rah-rah. So there's your leadership right there. Speaking of Derek Brown was very, very disruptive today. Like I said, sometimes he was unblocked, but a lot of times in the run game, he was just doing what Derek Brown does, getting penetration, refusing to be blocked, even without pads on, refusing to be blocked, getting in the backfield, forcing running backs to take different tracks because he's getting penetration into the backfield. So I think he's going to continue to build on that run game. We just want to see that pass rush and getting a little bit more sacks per se. He's getting the pressures and stuff, and he probably flushes guys to the left or right. But we want to see him get more pass rush opportunities by us getting a lead on offense, but also him getting more sacks and getting the quarterback down. Eddie Pinheiro went 5 for 5 on field goals today, according to Joe Person. The longest was a 56. And I can't confirm or deny Eddie's results at practice because I wasn't looking. I'll be editing videos during the special teams portion, but like I said, the competition is probably over at this point. It's just going to come down to the money and what they decide. Is Eddie going to hold out and not play, which is crazy because you're going to get fined and you don't have a huge salary, or are they going to actually pay him? Who knows? But he did that. And last but not least, the Panthers signed a vet corner, but it wasn't Stephon Gilmore. It was Anthony Brown, cornerback from formerly of the Cowboys. He tore his Achilles in 2022. If you ask Cowboy fans about him, they're like, he's on a lot of people's hate list, to be honest. But he's a vet. He's experienced. I recorded him during the workout. He looked pretty good moving his feet during the workout. He looked to be healthy and recovered from that. We'll see how he is when he gets to action because they did sign him. They worked him out today, and they signed him. That probably tells you that Gilmore is not coming around. They probably just couldn't come together on a salary. We don't know the money for Anthony Brown, but it'll be interesting to see what he signs for and what Gilmore signs for eventually whenever he gets picked up by somebody, which is probably not us. But Anthony Brown was picked up. Like I said, I saw him after practice, so Very, very interesting. But that's pretty much all for this video. You guys let me know down below in the comments any questions you might have about what I might have saw today. If you're curious about anything out there, I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Like I said, I got video today, so I'll answer based off what I can see today and what I saw with my own eyes the other practice. But I got you guys as much as possible. Let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, if you want to show some love, show some support, you can leave a super thanks, which is pretty much like a super chat or a tip jar. It really just shows appreciation for me traveling up to training camp and being out there getting this footage and this content. But regardless, I appreciate you guys watching this and supporting the channel. It's always love. I'll see you next time. Peace.